Anybody got the time? Okay, what's that? 10 till. Already. Oh my, doesn't time pass quickly in this church? Thank you very much, because you see, they cover me up too much. I can't see my watch. And they left the door open over there, and I couldn't see the clock on the wall. So I didn't know what time it was. But I think that's probably part of the idea. Probably part of the idea. Because I'm not supposed to pay attention to time. Or neither is anyone else in church, for that matter. But when I'm not paying attention, when the priest is not paying attention to time, everybody kind of knows it, right? And the thing is, the priest is always too slow. Nobody stops to think what's going on here and here, that the liturgy lasts so long, okay? Because time, you're giving away my age again, not that it's a surprise, but when I was in high school, there was a band that just became very, very popular called Chicago. And it was really popular because, you know, as opposed to just guitars and drums, they brought out a brass. They had trumpets and trombones, and they were wonderful. And there was a great song that they sang called, I'm not sure what the title is, but I remember that the lines are, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? Is the next question. And I think that's a really good question. You know, does anybody really know what time it is? It's 5 minutes till 11 Eastern Standard Time, which means it's 5 minutes until 5 Coordinated Universal Time, and it's 5 minutes till 10 in Chicago, and I don't even know what time it is in Australia. So time depends on where you are, right? Time, and I was looking for definitions of time. The definition of a second, for instance, a second. A second is the basic unit of time measurement. And it used to be defined as a day is, right, one rotation of the Earth. And 1 second is 1/86,400th of that rotation, right? Only it's not anymore. Now, a second is defined as exactly the duration of 9,192,631,770 periods of the radiation corresponding to the transition between the two hyperfine levels of the ground state on the cesium-133 atom at a temperature of 0 degrees Kelvin. Anybody know what that is? Okay, doctor, you don't have to. No, you don't. Okay. So that's 1 second now. And it's important because with that unit of time, we have to keep, the Earth is not spinning at the same speed. It's slowing down, just like the rest of us. Little by little, it's slowing down, and it's not even consistent in its spinning, in its rotation. So you have to adjust by 1/1000th of a second, because it's 1/1000th of a second off the rotation of the Earth from the atomic time, atomic second. Which means that in any given year, when the sun is where it's supposed to be on the equator, on a certain, I forget what day it is supposed to be, it's going to be 300 meters off where it's supposed to be. That 1/1000th of a second takes everything off by 300 meters, 3 football fields in a year. Does anybody really know what time it is? Or does anybody care? This time of year, we get crazy with time, right? Now, again, giving away my age, the repository years ago used to have a little cartoon that said, it's so many shopping days until Christmas. Now, for those of you who are millennials and maybe a little older, and definitely younger, you couldn't go shopping every day in the old days. And so there were shopping days, and so it would tell you how many shopping days you had till Christmas. Because that was the deadline, right? You had to get your shopping done by and now there aren't shopping days, they're just days. And if you look online, You know, there's a Black Friday sale, then there's a Cyber Monday sale, then there's a this sale, and there's an advanced sale, and they all have clocks. You only have 4 hours, 30 minutes, and 25 seconds to take advantage of the sale. What time is it? We run like crazy, going here and there, trying to make sense. Well, try to get gifts for Christmas, but I mean the rest of the time too. We're running here, we're running there. We got to get to work on time. We have to get home. Somebody's calling. There's an emergency going on. We have to hurry, hurry, hurry. Or we take our time. Things don't take as long, or things take we take a long time to do something, and then we punish ourselves for taking that much time, for doing something like resting or enjoying time with family. And holidays, Bell Stores, this is the first year I go past the Bell Stores marathon on the way here. Every Christmas, it's closed, but not now, not this year. And that's the trend. Nothing ever closes. We carry clocks on us. We carry these phones. They're constantly beeping and telling us what time it is. Oh, it's time to answer this. It's time to respond to that person. It's time to answer this phone. We're always at work, always on, always, always, always. And so time, instead of going by in seconds and minutes and hours and days and weeks, it's constant. It's a constant flow of now. Now. Do it now. Does anybody really know what time it is? But you know, we do care. Because one thing that's absolutely certain about time is that each of us has only a finite quantity of it. Only a finite quantity of it. And when our time in time is over, we pass into eternity. That's our belief. And eternity is not, like we tend to think of it, an eternal series of now, like forever and ever, never ending. That would be boring. I mean, just eternal, never stopping. Eternity is what you have when you don't have time. Not when you're out of time, but when there is no time. When the one who was born before all ages, before there was time, already existed. And we sang in the Kondakion today the Virgin gives birth to the transcendent in essence. And the earth offers a cave to the unapproachable one. The angels and the shepherds sing his glory. And the wise men with the star travel on their way. Before that, as we were waiting, we sang the one who was born before all ages. And we say that in the Creed. Begotten of the Father before all ages. That means in eternity. Before there was a before. Before there was an after. Got that? If you understand that, explain it to me sometime. And then I'll explain the cesium-133 atom, and then... No, it's not something that we can actually think. Okay, that's what's going on. As time passes, our thoughts are happening, one after another, after another, after another. And we tend to identify with our thoughts. We think, I am the person that's having, or I am these thoughts, not I am the person who's having these thoughts. I am these thoughts, and they keep happening. And sometimes they push us, and sometimes they pull us back, but they always make us aware that there's something left to be done. Something undone. Oh, I have to remember to do this. Oh, it's almost time to do that. Oh. When our time and space is ended, we pass into eternity. We pass into the realm of the one who is before all ages. Light of light. True God of true God. Begotten, not made. One in being, one in essence, consubstantial with the Father, by whom all things were made, but who for us and for our salvation came down from heaven and was incarnate, took flesh by the Holy Spirit of the Virgin Mary and became man. When did that happen? See? Oh, see? That's the trick. Now there is a when to God. Before, there was no when to God. God is eternal. But being born, he enters into our history. He enters into the time of time. He enters into the time when there are whens. And he lives his life, his 33 years or whatever it was, until his time on earth was ended. But then he did something different. He came back. He was risen. And he lives. His body lives, as will ours. So in a sense, God is eternally now taking place in time. As long as there's time, God is in time with us. It's as if we were dancing together, and the question is, can we keep the same rhythm? If God is leading, can we follow his steps? Can we follow where he is? So that when our time and time is over, we enter into eternity full of love, full of expectation, full of joy at the idea that we have been created out of love forever. Now, I've never had a child, but I think some of you have. And I know all of us have had parents, the way it works. And when you have a newborn in the house, I'm told, time doesn't matter. The baby doesn't live in time. That baby, it's now, it's always now. And when it's hungry, I'm hungry now. And when I'm awake and you're sleeping, too bad, I'm awake now. And I'm crying now. And so your whenever has to take place in the baby's now. And that's how you learn a certain kind of love. Because when that happens, when we go to that baby, when we see that child, there's something that changes in us. You know, in mammals, the offspring are born live, right? Offspring are born live. They don't hatch out of eggs. They don't go through stages like a tadpole to a frog. They're born live. And with most creatures, animals, when it encounters another creature, there are kind of three things that its primitive brain has to decide. One is, do I run away? The other was, do I mate with this? The other is, do I eat this? And it's not so unusual, even in the mammalian world, for parents to eat their offspring. And babies are not born with AK-47s. They have no means of defense, except they are so cute. I mean, cubs, baby bears, mid kittens, puppies, baby people. They are so cute. And it's that cute that draws something out of us. This is kind of built in. We can't help but respond to that cute. And we end up drawn into that baby's life, that baby's smile, or that baby's cry if necessary, when that baby needs something. And we are taken out of our time and put into the child's time. And God thought, you know, this is so cool. I'm so glad I did this. I want to find out what it's like to be cute. So God decided, when the fullness of time had come, as we read today in Galatians 4:4. When the fullness of time had come, God sent his Son, born of a woman, born under the law. So God got a chance to be cute. And the whole world stops to look at this manger. The angels, the shepherds, the wise men. And everything stops. And we enter into the time of this baby. And when everything stops, and is God born of a woman, in the fullness of time, that's what time it is. It's the fullness of time. It's not an eternal succession, what we call chronos. It's the fullness of time. It's God's time. It's what we call kairos, or keros in Greek. God's time, divine time. Not time duration, not time seconds, minutes, but the fullness of existence in an eternal moment. And when the fullness of time in human history had come, God was born of a woman. and became a child, became a baby. And with that baby, everything else stops. Like when you're waking up to feed your baby, your life stops. With this baby, everything stops. Your sorrow, your worries, your anxieties, your fear, your concern for tomorrow. Because this baby is here to say, this is the fullness of time that you live in. To the best of your ability, set aside this notion of tick-tock and enter into my time. Because that's where love lives. That's where love lives. Did you ever notice that when you were in love, there's not enough time with the person that you're in love with. And time stretches out and becomes unendurable when you're separated. Well, it doesn't last forever, right? But that's what goes through us in our infatuation. God gives us that opportunity to learn what love is like that way, too. That it bends time according to our perception of it, in our hearts and in our minds. And so, that's the trick, isn't it? By our relationship with God, a relationship made possible face to face, human face to human face, because of the birth of His Son, Emmanuel, God with us. We are able to enter into this relationship of love that is just like a human relationship. And then when we enter into the time that is Christ's, we enter into a time that is no time. Or we find that we can respond to everybody else's need now. Just like our child. Now. Now. Anybody know what time it is? It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time today, and tomorrow, and now, and always, and forever and ever. Amen.